Okay. Let's take a look here. Oh, we can do that. Let's see if that goes. Hello, hello. Let's see. See if that works. If anyone has just messaged, 1 minute, I cannot see that you messaged anything. There you go. Back. We're back. Yeah. There needs to be some changes in... I need to do some change in here, guys, so I apologize for the technical glitchiness. Yes, but hey, guys. Welcome. Welcome to episode 110. 110 episodes. Imagine that, though. Think about it. You know, it still surprises me that it's been this long, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, my internet speed is really good on the download. It's around 9-ish on the upload, but I'm looking at upgrading my speed. I need to do some serious upgrades, honestly, and my phone may be one of them, just because since I'm a power user, you know what I mean, it's phones are, they've got more memory, they're just the processors are stronger. So yeah, it's sad to say a phone that's less, that's about 1.5 years old, less than 2 years old, is already not functioning like it should, which is sad. But that's like all cell phones nowadays. They throw them out like underwear at this point. Yeah, iPhone X. You know what? Michael, I've never really been a big iPhone guy. I like the fact that I can switch over from platforms and things. iPhone is more proprietary, so it's kind of more difficult to work through with different devices. iPhone does not like to play well with others. iPhone likes to play with iPhone, which isn't a bad thing. It isn't a good thing. I've been looking at the Samsung S8 or the Note, because the Note has a pretty awesome processor. It's a powerhouse. The Google Pixel does not even have a headphone jack, so they go on the way of getting rid of the headphone jack. So, it is what it is as far as that stuff goes. But there definitely needs to do an upgrade of equipment, which is constant. It's constant, and I'm trying to keep it simple. So, and I'm trying every week not to be by my desktop all the time. Right. And I have to go in and play with the Google Pixel, and I have to play with those and see what happens and go from there. But we'll see. Part of the thing. Actually, either Android and iOS I'm not really fond of, but there are some decent Androids out there, and iOS is good too. So it all depends on cost and what I need it for and how it works. If it works for me. Because guaranteed, if I got an iPhone, then I'd have to probably work around having to do things a little differently than what I'm used to. I'd have to adapt. Yes. So, I'm glad you guys are here. Episode 110. And welcome. And of course, it's lots of changes are happening. I have to get more on the ball to make those changes happen quicker. Well, yeah, but see, even BlackBerry is basically an Android phone. It's an Android phone. It's not even BlackBerry anymore, to be honest. So even BlackBerry, they don't make their own devices anymore, and the devices are a pretty durable device, the actual hardware of it, but software, it's all Android anyway. So it doesn't make a difference. Ultimately, it doesn't matter probably at this point whether I go Samsung or whatever, or Google Pixel or whatever at this point. Those are the two choices. Yes, which is good. But I have been pretty loyal to BlackBerry because they've been really, really good. Until they moved over to Android, they were pretty badass. The operating system, I really liked it, to be honest, because it was a very good operating system. But now they're very sturdy, and BlackBerries can't get hacked. Not to the level of other phones. So the security in a BlackBerry is really good. However, with everything I'm doing now, I may have to change things, and I've had to adapt from BBOS 10 to Android anyway. So yeah. So loyalist is one thing, but if it's not serving my purpose, whatever it is, or whoever it is, then they're gone, and I replace it. Exactly, and they still use them now. They're from last I checked, as far as research, the BlackBerry operating system is in cars, is in automobiles, is in tanks, is in. They're going much larger now. They're not even bothering so much with phones anymore. They're still making phones, but they're not making them. Someone else is making them now. So they're going for the big stuff. They're going for serious security operating systems, tanks, automobiles, things like that, where if you're using your onboard electronics, basically the tablet in your car, there are certain cars that have the BlackBerry operating system in them. It's like the security portion of it. So that's kind of cool. I wish them the best of luck. But like I said, as with any company, if you're not doing it for the right reasons, you're going to lose people. So, so that's kind of the dealio. So again, what I'm using now, yes, it is a BlackBerry, but it has an Android operating system, so it's no different than, an LG or a Samsung or whatever, or a Google Plus. The difference is now at this point, my hardware is now outdated because they're putting out phones like every 6 months, every year. So that being the case, I need to get something more powerful with more RAM memory, something that's more kick-ass. Yeah. So be it. But it's more important for me to be able to do what I need to do and have the right than just be a brand-centered person. I'm not even into being brand-centered. It just happened to be that I've used BlackBerry for a long time. Well, yeah. Well, there's reasons for that, honestly, Michael. There's reasons for that. Because they were still holding out on the businessman's market, the business people's market, the enterprise solutions and all that. And they should have gone to the entertainment and the regular sheeple portion. They should, if they switched over probably a year or two before, then there would have been three. Then there would have been three choices, not two. So BlackBerry is kind of like the independent of the smartphone. They could be a lot smarter, but not necessarily the most popular. So therefore, they don't get the same chance as the big boys do. Meh. Such is life. Being is I actually have an appointment after the show. I have a client after the show, so I have to boogie. So the show may be a touch shorter than usual. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I need to be able to get to that appointment fast like a bunny rabbit. But I'm glad you guys are here. So yeah, so let's get started, and we'll go from there. But thank you for being here. Appreciate it, and you guys are awesome. So yeah, a lot of upgrades will be happening. It's just a matter of time, resources, all that stuff. We're on a shoestring. Talk about low B, we're on some serious low budge. So everything that I do is basically just blood, sweat, and tears. Low budge. Seriously low budget. I'm not even kidding. I am so serious, it's not even funny. So part of it's like want to laugh, part of it's want to cry, but it is what it is. Welcome to the world economy. Welcome to the divided states of America. So, let's get the show started. Let's see, it is just about 5:30. Abouts. Okay. Let's see here. Welcome to Insight with Moonshadow. I am Moonshadow. I'm an Integrative Holistic Therapist, CHI-vangelist, and overall earthy, crunchy guy doing over what's going to be on 33 years of healing filled with all kinds of craziness, but good. It's always been good. But 33 years of experience in the healing field out there, and this is Insight with Moonshadow, so welcome. So now, in today's topic, now a lot of times, if you guys have known me longer than a few minutes, you hear me say the word juju a lot. Now, juju is a term for energy or magic, okay? Well, one of the big things that's going on, it happens all the time, whether you know it or not, is we are affected by juju or energy. So now this energy and affects us in different ways. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is how energy affects you, whether it's negative, positive, all of that. A lot of times, we don't always realize how energy is affecting us until sometimes too late. Sometimes if you have a couple of sleepless nights, you don't even think about it, you kind of put it off, but then, after a month, 2 months, 3 months, you realize, whoa, wait a minute, something's wrong. Something's happening. Something's affecting me. So that being said, you kind of have to look at energy as a whole. Now, no different than if you run out of juice in your cell phone, in your car battery, or in your house, you can't function. Well, it's the same thing with us as bioelectric machines, or that spark we have within us. So we don't of that spark within us. And even looking at social media presently, you look at social media, and if you look at anybody's social media pages, whether it be, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, anything like that, you will notice that there's been trends. There's a lot of trends that are happening out there. But the thing is, the energy that's surrounding around it is very, very, it's all over the place. It really, truly is. Now, being mindful about your energy is really, really important. So a lot of times we don't always think about the practice of how we utilize our energy and how we focus on our chi, right? Because chi is also our life force, our energy. So we get affected. We get affected very easily. If someone, you notice as an example, if you meet someone you haven't seen in a billion years, right? And they look at you and they say to you, "Oh, wow, look at you. Jesus, it's been forever. You look great." That energy is going to alter you. It's going to change you. It's going to make you feel, wow, I'm looking okay. I'm looking pretty good. I'm looking great. That's fantastic. That's on the positive. But on the negative, it's the same thing. On the negative, it can affect you the same way. So if you happen to be like in the middle of a conversation, you're talking to someone, and someone says, "Oh, did you see so-and-so? Oh my God, it looks like they've, aged 1,000,000 years," or whatever. Now, good thing that person isn't hearing it. And granted, it's not really nice to spread bad juju like that on someone, because you haven't walked in their shoes for a mile, so you don't know what's going on with them. However, but the thing is, energy does affect us. It affects all of us, and it affects us in many different ways. A lot of hot button, I am not a fan of hot button issues, but there are certain hot button issues that I do not take on as far as in social media right now. Because everyone has an opinion, so I'd rather be part of the solution than part of the problem. Instead of being another person screaming and yelling about negativity and pushing some kind of agenda when I don't know every aspect of it, well, I choose to not speak or voice it. And then, okay, I'm back. Oh my goodness! Now I'm not sure exactly why it's been tricky. I actually have to look and check to see energetically if something's going on. For sure, because normally this doesn't usually happen. Not that often, anyway. So you guys are back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a crap show as far as putting it together and editing. Sorry. I really am, actually. But yes, so energy moves us, and energy, takes care of. Oh, there been a lot of solar flares? Well, then that will do it. Cell service, internet, all of that is very sensitive to energy. So it's funny that today's episode happens to be, the topic has to be about energy and juju. So basically, if you are constantly bombarded by negative energy or criticism or judgment, you're going to get affected. You're going to get affected whether you like it or not. You're going to get affected by this energy. You could be the most amazingly positive person on the planet. If you are put in a room full of miserable people, what's going to end up happening is, unless you are incredibly super strong, 200% like Hercules, the Hercules of coping skills, you're going to get affected. And if you're an empath, it's going to take even more mindfulness and even more control to slow that down or stop it from happening. That's when bubbling up comes in. That's when protective energy comes in. That's when you have to do a lot of more powerful, things to do with juju to stop that energy from getting to you and manifesting into a physical problem with you. So now, let's look at the world today. The world today we have, it's the divided states of America. It's not, it may sound funny a little bit, but it's really, really not funny, honestly. People are so segregated and so divided at this point with opinion. We have protests happening all the time. We've got mass shooting happening all the time. It is literally looking like it's moving towards a third world country. It really is. And it's unfortunate. It shouldn't be that way. Because I do believe that America is an incredible, incredible country. However, the energy that we're surrounded by and the energy that we're bombarded by is affecting each and every one of us. So you can look in your own family. You can see the differences of opinion, differences of energies, and we deal with judgment every day. We're dealing with criticism every day. But this energy is affecting you. So, why do I keep putting out there, do random acts of kindness? Why do I keep putting there make enough? Make sure you're resilient in, mind, body, and spirit. All these things. It's because you are counteracting the energy that's out there. So it's very, very important. You have to work overtime in 2018. They truly have to work overtime. Because what's going on today is that, so many people feel off with things. They feel ungrounded. They don't feel quite right, And look at what's happening in the world with storms. We're getting like crazy, weird, random storms happening that we're not expecting. They don't know where they're coming from. Puerto Rico was hit. We have Texas that was hit. Florida that was hit. So all these places, it's like out of nowhere, we're getting strange weather. We're getting strange things happening. And a lot of it is to do with the energy that's out there. It's an accumulation of a lot of different things. So, now you looking at energy, now how are you, what do you do to counter the energy in your life or work with that energy? Do you work with a positive? Do you work with positive energy in the morning? Do you try to look at the positive? Do you look at the negative? Do you harbor on the negative? Hello, Marisha. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So it really makes a difference. It really makes a difference on how you do things and how you cope. So with all this energy happening, with the energy of the world today, with everything, it's really hard to maintain your own energy in balance and continue balancing. So that's why, going back many broadcasts ago, I've spoken about grounding, about earthing, about going on the ground barefoot, because that in itself is an incredible healing modality. It's an amazing way of centering yourself, because we become more and more disconnected as we go. This is what's happening with the world right now, is we're getting further and further apart and further connected from each other, when we should be doing the opposite. And so now you notice that with all these people speaking up and everything like that, for movements and all these things, this part of it's because of the energy shift that's happening right now. people aren't being heard, that kind of thing. So that negative energy is what's fueling all this. Now, I'm not going to blame one particular person, because it's not one person. Not one person is all powerful to do all this craziness. But however, we get affected by this energy. And then you find, for example, you get up in the morning, you're ready to go to work, or you go off to run errands, or whatever you're going to do, and you see a flat tire. Now that, at that moment in time, is going to either make you or break you, if you really think about it. So you see the flat tire, right? So now we'll do two different examples. You see one person that sees the flat tire, and let's just go with the more typical, in the energy of today, what's happening in the world today. We'll see the more reactive energy. So now you walk out there, you see you got a flat tire, you're already running late. What the hell? And you start swearing and cursing and all this stuff. And it gets horrible. It gets very problematic, right? So now, overreacting that way, or shifting your energy even more into the negative, is that actually going to help you? Is that helping you? Is that serving its purpose? You may think it does, but actually it drains you even further. It's like running way too many apps in your smartphone, because you drain it even quicker. Hey, Anna. So this is the thing. So now with all this energy surrounding us and bombarding us, we have a mixture, a hodgepodge of all this kind of energy happening. So it's up to us to be able to filter out the good from the bad. And again, everyone has an opinion, everyone has that. So I'm not even going into the political arena with all that. I'm not blaming one person or one party or anything like that. I'm not even going to stick my hand in that. I'd have to take a shower afterwards to wash all grime and muck and mire off of me. But really, it's up to you to filter that. We don't realize how energy affects us day to day. The flat tire, I would probably react in that same way, in being more reactive and go, oh, what the hell, I'm late, I'm this, I'm that, blah, 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 all this. Now, wisdom dictates a little different reaction nowadays, because you have no control. You have no control over it. So now going back out there, looking at this negative energy, this energy that's trying to get in your periphery, and then you go, okay, I have a flat tire. All right, well, what are my options? If I'm running late, call ahead, let them know, hey, I got a flat tire. I can't make it. Or postpone it or reschedule. But ultimately, the point is and AAA is very nice, but you usually have to wait for AAA a little bit. Unless you know somebody, unless it's not like a holiday or it's busy. But AAA is very good. If you have a chance, make sure you have AAA, especially if you have an older vehicle. Like my vehicle is considered a classic. My Jeep is considered a classic now. So it is what it is. So when you're driving around something older, of course, you want that security. You want that ability to be able to do that, right? So coping with that energy is very, very important. Perfect example. I was out west. I was in Nevada, as a matter of fact. I was by a restaurant, and a certain Jeep did not start. Now, this wasn't my Jeep. This is a different Jeep. Still a good Jeep, but a bit older than mine. So now what happened? The Jeep wouldn't start. Oh, no, we got locked out. That's what happened. We got locked out of the Jeep. That's what it was. Yes, we got locked out. So now we had to call AAA, right? So yeah. So AAA, now at this point, you had a choice. Okay, do we stand out in the weather, in the elements, because it was kind of like kind of day, and wait? Or if it's going to be 45 minutes an hour, go grab coffee somewhere, right? So that's what we did. There was a Starbucks right on, like a hop, skip, and a jump nearby. So we cruise over to Starbucks. Now, the great thing about AAA, obviously, they will shoot you a text. They'll say, hey, or call you and say, hey, we're at your vehicle. Where are you? Now, one way, taking the energy and not filtering it towards the good or making good out of it or being positive or throwing a positive spin on it, we could have gone ahead and just been aggravated about it. Oh, what the hell? You know, it doesn't help anything. So, long story short, we go grab coffee, we heading out. The guy's already there. It was like minutes. The driver was amazing. He was awesome people. And there you go. And off we went. Now, see, this is the important part of having the wisdom to know when to overreact or when not to. You know what I mean? How to meter what is happening. To figure out what's going on. To figure out, okay, what do I have to do to get from point A to point B? I can honestly tell you, by absorbing that negative energy, it's going to cause problems. Okay, I didn't see all of that. So let's see here. Okay, so yeah, Anna's saying, yeah, tip for you all, don't use your car key to get a stroller tire back on its track. I snapped one clean in half. Oh my goodness. That will cost money. Yes, that's when it costs more money. I actually have to fix quite a few knives because the knives are used for screwdrivers and prying things, and I keep on reminding people that the knife is not a screwdriver. There's tools for that. So, but yes, but I understand an adaptation. I've adapted things before. I've used all kinds of craziness. As a matter of fact, my tripod that broke, another perfect example about energy and making and throwing a positive spin, is that my heavy-duty tripod is busted, broken. However, I'm going to MacGyver it. If anyone is of that age range, you'll know MacGyver. But in high school, I was like the European version of MacGyver. Like, I was able to make things happen and fix things strangely. Like, they'd be like, "How the hell did you make that work?" Well, it had to get work. Something had to happen. So, and we did this also in Virginia City. We had to do this to set up, which you guys know about, and adapting. So we have to adapt. So ultimately, energy affects us in a way. No matter what, that energy does affect you. So a lot of times you don't even realize when the energy is affecting you. It's kind of like a cold. Like, you're sitting there, everything's perfectly fine, and all of a sudden you get like a sniffle. You kind of dismiss it, and then before you know it, you got a full blown cold. Right? And yes, Anna, wires, duct tape, wood, clothing, coat hangers. In fact, I had to fix a shelf, one of those moving drawer shelves, and I had what I needed to fix it, and I didn't have to go to the hardware store, and I fixed it like new, and you would have never known how I fixed it, because it was a very sideways kind of way of fixing it, but I fixed it. Again, I have to thank my guides, and I have to thank my totems and guides and protectors for that, because a lot of times, if I'm misplacing something, or if something's missing, or something's happening, they'd be like, "Oh, don't forget, you have this. You can try this. Or you can use that." Right? So that's very, very cool. But see, energy gets affected. You get affected so easily. So this is why you have to be very, very careful about how you receive or how you take in this energy, because words are energy. Thoughts are energy. Everything is revolving around juju and energy. You may not even know you're getting affected until it's too late. A lot of dis-ease happens. It's something that's out here in your periphery, and you haven't dealt with it until it gets too close, and it manifests physically. So this is part of it as well. So how we deal with energy is very, very important. And it's very easy to kind of lose the plot. It's very easy to realize it's terrible. It's very easy to get taken or changed by what you do. This is another reason why I'm very careful about what medications I take. Be an informed consumer. Realize what side effects there could be. Be aware of your body. So it is in your best interests for you to live mindfully. Ultimately, it's in your best interest to live mindfully. Because when you do that, you will know your body better. You will be at one with your body, your mind, and your spirit. And then you could be able to understand, is this my stuff? Is this somebody else's stuff? Because that also happens too. Another person's energy can get clouded up into yours, and then you think it's something that is affecting you. But it's really not your energy to own. It's another person's energy to own. So that's something else you have to look into. So as an example, like anybody out there right now in the broadcast. Now, has there been a situation where you thought one thing, but it was another? Like the energy that you were getting. Either you were getting bombarded by good or bad energy, or an experience where you could have reacted one way, but changed your mind. Granted, part of it's intuition, but the energy is still there. The residual energy of that stress is in the room. So you can go into it. You know that expression, it was so tense you could cut it with a knife. I think that's the saying. It's something like that to that way. But see, that's the whole thing. It's almost like if you overheat a room and you have a cold room and a hot room, you walk into that heat and it's almost like it's like a barrier. That's a very similar way with energy for you to watch out for. Okay, and it's saying sometimes when praying for someone for healing, sometimes I feel where the pain is and I have to discern whether it's my pain or theirs. Yeah, weird. And it's true. But see, this is what I'm saying. Energy affects everybody differently. So a lot of times I'll have a weird feeling. Now granted, I've been working on my intuition ever since I was a little kid. So it's a little different. Some people have stronger gifts than others. And there are a lot of people that have incredibly strong gifts. So now, if I get a funny feeling or something's weird, something's not right, I usually say there's a disturbance in the force, I start to pinpoint who it's from, where it's coming from. I try to put my radar out there and say, okay, and where is it coming from? And normally, my guides will come in and they'll kick in and they'll say, okay, talk to so-and-so. And then sure enough, by process of elimination sometimes it's not direct to the person that you're supposed to talk to. Sometimes you have to go through one or two people. But if you listen and you kind of take somebody, a friend of mine actually recently did that with me. They had this weird, odd feeling. Now I'm one of their inner circle, of course. So now they were feeling odd, so they sent me out a message. They were like, everything okay, Moon? You all right? I just got a weird feeling. So I had said, well, no, it's been a little bit of a challenging day, but I'm okay. Everything is fine. So no worries. But the point is, they knew within a couple of people, if it wasn't me, it was one of two other people. And they did find out who it was, and then they were able to discern what the situation was, and they were able to help that person. But this is part of it. Well, also too, even electromagnetic frequency too. If you have too many EMFs in the too much electromagnetic frequency in a particular space, that can actually make you not feel well. So a lot of times when you're doing paranormal investigations and things like that, they'll ask you, if they're investigating a place, they will actually bring meters in there to check the EMF percentage. Because if it's high in EMF, then it's going to be, it may affect somebody. It may cause vertigo. It may make you feel funny. I actually felt that way today. And I'm not sure why that happened, but I just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, was off. It was just really weird. So I had to center myself. I had to recenter and think about, okay, what's going on, what's happening. I took note of that, and everything seems to be fine now. But it was just weird. So it could have been someone is going through a hard time, and I'm picking it up, through the airwaves, so to speak. It could be many, many things. No, connectivity has been kind of sketchy today. So I apologize. There has been, Ariel had mentioned that there's been solar flares that she's heard of, like there's been solar flares happening. And environmentally, I can honestly tell you that things have been kind of really crazy lately. Things have been really weird. So, yeah. But there's a lot of these things can affect. Now, I'm hoping that I can save this broadcast so it's somewhat decent. But in the event that it's a crap broadcast, I probably will do another show this week, because the show must go on. Yeah, so we're just rolling with it. We're adapting. We have to. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Absolutely. But see, this is a big part of it. So energy affects you in all different types of ways. It's negative and it's positive. It could be words. It could be energy. It could be news media. Be very aware of what you see on TV. That could affect you. Like, I usually sleep, the TV is usually on. So there are times my subconscious kind of has its own thing, and I have questions and answers and energy and things I'm supposed to sort out. And then on occasion there's a random, I'm fighting zombies, and it happened to be a zombie movie on or something. But it's up to you to kind of discern, okay, what was this dream about? Why was this dream about? What's the energy behind it? All of that. But we have to be careful about what we're hit with. Children and animals are incredibly sensitive to energy. They can really tie in to energy. So if you've watched Star Wars, okay, like Darth Vader, his character was trained at a young age because he was able to detect energy. The Jedi Knight movement is based on multiple spiritualities. So I will tell you that much. So it's based on some fact. The Jedi Knights were based on part Bushido, part ninja, part ninja do, part Bushido, and part Buddhism. So it's a little mixture of all that. But ultimately, when we're getting affected and bombarded by this energy, you may not know that it's going to hit you when it hits you. You may not know what happens. You may not know you're reacting in a weird way. So that's where kind of being mindful of what's happening within your body and within your surroundings, it's kind of nice. Because when you do that, then you go, whoa, wait a minute, I feel really weird. There's a weird energy right now. And then you can dial in. You can take a pause, dial in to see if it's yours, or if it's someone else's, if it's the actual place you're in. You will know if it's yours or not. Because if it's yours, it'll feel familiar. If it feels odd, then more than likely it's somebody else's stuff. Or residual stuff. Or you can feel that something happened. It could be residual energy, a tape loop of things that have happened. Because energy is not created nor destroyed, as we know from school. So it remains, or it lingers quite a bit. This is why, you want to be careful with walking across a rug and then touching someone. You get that static hit, right? So you need to discharge that static. Not much different than with normal, everyday energy. So this is all really, really important. Now, the reason why I bring up this topic today is because the energy today is so crazy. It right now is so crazy and divided. If you notice in social media, everyone's got like a major, like, heated opinion about everything. And they're jumping at things. Like, I saw, it was a pretty benign post, and someone had to say something about the post. And they remarked about the post. Well, blah, 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 blah. They just go and bark about, something in the post. Hey, Nancy, welcome. So what ended up happening was a post comes up, and I did post something recently, how every action has a reaction. But then in social media, there's a standard overreaction, right? I just put this in social media recently. Why? It's more than just having an opinion or having a voice. It's more than that. Most of the time, and I'm going to say a good 90% of the time, if someone overreacts, or it's either the energy that's around them or something that's bothering them that they haven't dealt with. And I've had that happen to me. Until I had to get the feeling of it and go, whoa, wait a minute. That really wasn't cool. That really wasn't right to act that way. That's because I'm reacting to energy somewhere, whether it's mine, someone else's, or residually around me, that is affecting things. So now, right now in 2018, this is now even more important to be more mindful of your work environment, your home environment, where you are, all these things. It's even more important to be mindful about yourself. It's even more important to be careful of your health, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Because we are right now, we're full of these little holes to be able to get affected by. And I was just talking to one of my students today, as a matter of fact. There isn't enough time in the day to be mindful about everything. Right? There isn't enough time. We're caught up with our jobs. We're caught up with raising our kids. We're caught up with what's going on the news. We're caught up with the traffic. We're caught up with all of these things. And all this energy is hitting us. So it's no wonder that at the end of the day, or at the end of a conversation, you're exhausted. Or at the end of watching some TV or watching the news, you're spent. It's time to find where your breaking point is. Where that point is to say, okay, you know what? I know if I watch the news more than, like with me, it's like 5 minutes or so. I catch the high points and that's it, I'm done. Because you know that they're going to repeat it over and over and over and over and over again for the next 3 days. Because the news tends to be in a 24-hour to 3-day type like rhythm or cycle. So you're going to catch something new and then it's going to happen again. So one thing happens. Like today, was about the kids protesting from Florida, and kids in Washington were protesting as well. I have to give lots of props to those kids without getting into a hot topic, a hot button topic from rights and all this other stuff. Good for you guys to stand up, because to have our younger generation step up for something they believe in, I'm going to give it to them. So, right or wrong, there are people all over the spectrum on how they feel about it, but I just am very happy that they're joining the fight. They want change, right? They want change too. So I have to give them credit for that. Any kind of healthy debate. I remember going back a couple of years ago, in the platform I started in, with Insight with Moonshadow, and that's part of the first place I was live streaming from. I had a large discussion with 3 other people, and they were 3 distinctly different opinionated people. They had 3 distinctly different views than myself. Not one of us raised our voice. The energy of the room was very peaceful. As a matter of fact, I think it was like 2 o'clock in the morning as well. It was like 2 a.m. It was crazy. We had to have marathons back then. I had, I think, a 17-hour marathon. Q would remember this, and quite a few of you would remember this. But the thing was, the energy of the room, even though we may have not fully agreed with one another, the fact was we discussed it in a very calm kind of way. And at the end of the conversation, we all walked away being cool with each other. Okay? But again, the energy could have been lit up like an explosion, or it could have been spoken about. It could have been treated differently, and it did. Now we're talking about these particular people were different age ranges, by the way, different political affiliations, different spiritual affiliations, everything. Like if there wasn't, you couldn't have thrown 4 people into a room that were so drastically different from one from the other. But what happened was we took that energy and we made it different. It was like, I see your point, but this is how I see it. Or, I know what you mean, but this is how I took it. Right? Another perfect example. One of the people that is one of my subscribers on this YouTube channel. This individual came into one of my shows way back when and said something. Now, at that moment in time, I could have just easily have said, okay, you're out. Booted it out of the room. But instead, I thought about it for a second. I said, okay, you know what? I may be receiving that comment in the wrong way. Let's give this guy a shot. From that point forward, this person was incredibly intelligent, and he is one of my subscribers on my channel. And I've spoken to him on and off in the last couple of years I've been doing this. So this is what I'm saying. It's easy to overreact. It's easy to take an energy and then think it's one thing without kind of grounding, centering, and thinking about what is this? What is this energy? How am I going to react to it? Because you can't unring that bell. You can't unsay what you said. You can't fix something when you break it to that degree. So it's something to think about. So this is part of why I bring up this topic with energy. Now, we're surrounded by energy all the time, bombarded by this all the time. So now it's time for you to take a second or 5 seconds or 10 seconds to really take a look at how this energy is affecting you. What you need to dismiss, get rid of, what you need to purge, what you need to bring in. Will Smith just had or recently had a post about being surrounded by people who stir you up, who light your fire. You know? Where people light you up, they uplift you. And I remember that situation too. But even that, it passed over without a problem. But see, the thing is, his post was about surrounding yourself with people that are uplifting you. Not in a weird way, not in a artificial way. Water finds its measure. So if you surround yourself in your tribe with people who are supportive people, who are people that, despite all of us are different, but people that listen, ground, center, understand. Now, you don't have to have a PhD to understand. And his posts are incredible. So I have a lot of respect. I have a lot of respect for him. So anybody that wants to shoot down, a celebrity or someone in the public eye that has an opinion, listen to their opinion first. Like anyone else. They're no different than you are or the mailman. They're no different than any of that. But this is my thing. This is my point, is wisdom comes from different areas. And wisdom comes from everywhere. So, when you look at it from that perspective, that's energy. That's energy. How you take that energy in. There are people that I've worked with that wanted to lose a few pounds. They wanted to lose a few pounds. They tried everything. They were on the diets. They were working out like fiends, everything, and they didn't lose a pound. What was it? It was emotional weight. Some people eat their feelings. But that's energy. You have the choice. You have the choice, and unfortunately I have to get going. But, so I'm going to have to sum up the show, even though I love you guys. Summing it up, you have the choice of how you react to the energy. Right now, we have a place, we're living in a time and a place where there are so many different types of energy. There's a lot of negative energy that's out there. You have a choice of being angry about it and doing nothing. You have a choice of being blissfully unaware and being like a zombie and not doing anything, not having any opinion. And then you can also focus on the positive and focus on trying to make it better. Now, that doesn't make anybody better than one another. Just because the fact that I choose to try to be more positive and try to be more, be part of the solution instead of the problem, doesn't make me any better than anyone else. It just means that I'm focusing on a different point. My focal point is a different place, in a different space. Now, we all have that choice. Ultimately, you have that choice. So if someone gets nasty with you, you have the choice of either breaking that cycle and not subjecting to another, and taking that energy and dispersing it. So be aware of the energy that comes in, because that energy, as it comes in, it's going to come in. It could come in as a tsunami. It can come in as a sneaky little worm. You never know. So it's something you really need to think about, and how you react to this energy. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this today is because there's so much of it out there now, and a lot of it's negative. There are a lot of times I don't even want to talk to anybody because I can feel it around. It's just such a horrible, oppressive energy. I have not saged more than recently. The past year, I've probably saged more and done more grounding work within the past year than I have done in the last 3 years. Because that's the kind of energy that's floating around. However, I will say this. There are people out there that are trying to focus on the good. They're putting good juju out there. You know? You have Will Smith that's recently has done that. You look at a lot of social media posts. There are a lot of people putting out graphics and posts out there that are positive. Not blissfully unaware positive. Not hippy-dippy positive, but actual positive, grounded wisdom. And we can use a lot more of that. We can use a lot more of that. Going back, there's a lot more troll activity. There's a lot more people being hateful. There's a lot more racial activity, which makes no sense to me. So ultimately, this is the whole point. This is the whole challenge from me to you from this week. Is to be aware, be mindful of the energy that you're being hit by or surrounded by, and making the choice, either giving into it, taking it in, absorbing it, and God knows what it's going to manifest to. You may use that energy against one of your loved ones. You may be hateful towards someone that doesn't deserve it. All of that is energy coming in from every angle. You're going to have good or bad. So it's up to you. It's up to me on how we choose what to do with that energy. That's the important thing. Oh, is that blood? I'm A positive. I'm A plus. My father was O though. But see, this is the thing. Ultimately, we do have the choice and the opinion. Everyone can have an opinion. Everyone can have a view. How you voice that view is important. Because forcing it down someone's throat isn't going to do anything. So if we're going to make the changes in this world, however it may be, if we're going to make these changes, what we have to do is try to switch this energy from the negative to the positive. Take something that isn't working and make it work. Upcycle this negative energy and make it a positive one. Because once we do that, then we're going to really, truly change the world. Then we can change. That's the revolution. That's when it starts. And we do need to have a rebellion. So yes. But I have to close out this live stream today. I apologize for the tech glitches. It's been obviously a rough live stream. It doesn't happen every week. And, the tech team, i.e. me and my small, merry troop of people, which isn't many, we are going to sort it out. But I want to thank you for everyone for being here and for supporting the channel. Also, too, if you find this content informative, tell your friends. We're still looking at getting subscribership up to the 1,000 mark. Where I think we're up to 151. I know it's slowly creeping along. I want to thank every single person that has subscribed. I just love and light to you guys because that's what we're trying to do. Everything that's happening is with your energy, believe it or not. All the resources from doing this is that. So I appreciate you all for being here. It is, you guys have been here. It's now the 110th episode. We've already passed up 2 years. So I'm hoping that we continue to upgrade and keep on moving forward to bigger and better things. We've got a lot of changes in the works too. So stay tuned. Check it out. It is worthwhile. So stick around because you never know what's coming up next. So I will be putting out some posts coming up soon regarding some of the new upgrades and things and new news that is happening. So we're in the process of figuring all that out. So I apologize if it's lagged a bit. And as always, be strong, be amazing, be you. Love you guys. Take care. Have a good one.